Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television right here in Lancaster. We're also carried by a couple of our radio affiliates here in Lancaster. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. This program is actually produced at Fairfield Christian Academy by the students, and we do appreciate their willingness to put this program on each and every week. And certainly I thank the viewers and listeners that call and comment about the program. Back by popular demand this week is Detective Jason Mowers. He was with us last week. We heard a lot last week about his background, about transcending from a patrol deputy to a detective, and he's been with the Detective Bureau a little over a year now, and doing a terrific job. Talked a lot about those things. Now, how many cases are you typically working at any given time?
Well, it varies. I mean, it does trend with the number of reports that we receive, but it could be anywhere between 30 plus cases at any one given time.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I find kind of fascinating is prior to becoming the sheriff, I was with the Columbus Police Department. Before that, I was with the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. And there, in a larger organization, you have detectives, but they're assigned to specific investigations. In other words, you might have all the detective would do is handle bad checks. Another detective, all they would do is robberies. Another detective would handle burglaries. So they worked a small type of criminality because of the amount of crime. But with our sheriff's office, you guys work everything. I mean, you can be doing the bad checks, and before airtime we were talking about really some insurance fraud cases that you were actively involved in, right down to a homicide. So you have to be able to do a lot of different stuff.
Absolutely. We do have to wear a lot of different hats when it comes to investigating the crimes because, as you said, we do investigate them all. I mean, it's a neat experience,
right?
Because you can, like I said, take that, felony theft, and of course it could, another point in time we might be working, burglary cases, all the way up to, like you said, homicide cases. So I mean, it's.
What's the most common type of crime that you're investigating?
The most common now would be burglaries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we're seeing the most of. We've intermittently had problems virtually throughout the whole county with burglaries. We had a rather large rash of burglaries up in the northern half of the county, and then we started seeing stuff on the western part of the county, and so it's kind of bounced back and forth to different areas. But usually consistently the stuff that's taken is pretty much the same.
And typically it's the same group of people that do a number of burglaries, right?
Very easily, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've noticed a little bit of a change in some of the methods of operation that they've used, so it might lead us to believe there might be another group that's doing some of the burglaries, but it's a lot of time it's the same.
What would be some things typically that you see as some common denominators as far as burglaries, as far as maybe the types of items that are taken, the type of individuals involved?
Well, normally what we see as far as times is a majority of our burglaries are daytime burglaries. Most generally when the homeowner would be at work and things of that nature. What we commonly see is these individuals would go to someone's house. Say they would walk up to the front door. They would knock on the front door. If nobody answers, then they would maybe walk around to the back door knock on the back door. And then if nobody answers the back door, then most generally there's a pretty good chance that they're probably going to force entry into the residence and remove items. Most commonly what we see removed is electronic devices, firearms, and jewelry.
Okay. So take me through a typical investigation of a burglary. What are, from the time it happens until the time the deputy gets there, kind of what's the steps that we typically take during a criminal investigation of a home burglary?
Absolutely. Once the patrol deputy goes out and takes the initial report, a lot of times the patrol deputy will make neighbor contacts and process the home for any type of evidence that they may be able to locate. And then typically what we do is the following day, our Detective Bureau Sergeant will evaluate all of the reports that are filed by the patrol division. And then what he does is he will then assign them out to one of the detectives.
Okay.
Once the report is assigned, then commonly what we'll do is we'll make contact with the victim, let them know that we have been assigned the case, so then any further questions that they might have can go through us. Usually we'll ask them some questions that is common for us to ask, as far as any strange people or uncommon people that maybe not commonly come to their residence.
Right.
Have they been over, or have they had any work done recently at their house, or things of that nature. And then once we make contact with the victim, then what we'll do is we will we have some databases that we can access to see if maybe the items have been pawned, or anything along that lines, and also maybe at the time the report was filed, the victim wasn't able to give a serial number to the patrol deputy, so we will follow back up with the serial number. Serial numbers are a very critical part.
So it's important that people kind of write that stuff down, isn't it?
It is very important because it is really because most of all of the items that they're taken, minus maybe some rare jewelry or things of that nature, are mass produced. And the only way we're really able to tell the difference between their item that was stolen against somebody else's is by that serial number.
So what would be some common items that the citizen would want to record, as far as so we do have a way to track that to a pawn shop, or maybe a vehicle stop where they got televisions or things in the back of the car? What's some common items where you'd want to try to get a place and write that information down?
Absolutely. I would recommend writing down the serial numbers for all of the electronic devices.
Okay.
All firearms. And I would even maybe go a little step farther and maybe grab a camera and photograph the items.
Or even the jewelry.
And the jewelry
Right.
itself too. Because, if we look up an item and we put in 14 karat gold, 14 karat yellow gold, wedding band, well, there's about 1 trillion of those out there.
Right.
So there's not really a descriptive thing on that. But if they do photograph their jewelry and they photograph their electronic devices and their firearms, it's going to do a couple things. One, is going to help us with the investigation because we'll have the serial numbers for their items.
Okay.
When the patrol deputies take the reports, if we have serial numbers, those can be entered into Leeds NCIC, which is a national database where items are put in, and if a law enforcement officer would happen to come across any of those items, then it would actually alert that officer that that particular item is stolen.
Okay.
So if an officer in another county may be doing a search warrant and they go through and run serial numbers on those common items, there would be a possibility that they may be able to get a hit on that particular item as being stolen from our county.
What does a typical perpetrator look like? I mean, if you kind of had to look at all the people that are involved in this crime, kind of give me a little background of the kind of what we're seeing as far as the perpetrators.
Well, a lot of what we've been seeing is individuals, commonly males, is what we've found. It's not that we haven't found females that have been involved in the crime, but most generally, they may be a lookout for an individual that's inside a residence, maybe burglarizing it, or something along those lines. But the biggest trend that we've seen, and this has been a thing that has amazed me since I went to the Detective Bureau, is that I would say a good majority of these burglaries we're having are directly correlated with drugs.
Right.
And what we find is typically this person may exhaust their family, because most generally these folks are going to start somewhere in that realm of family members and maybe steal their stuff and things of that nature to obtain the money for their narcotics. And then what they do is once they exhaust the family and they don't want to have anything to do with them, that's when we start seeing the branch out for random home burglaries and also robberies as well.
Right. So these are typically youthful offenders, 18 to 30.
Typically,
yeah.
And we've even seen the number growing, over, even when I was a patrol officer, I do believe that we've even seen the age probably maybe even go up,
okay,
a little bit above 30,
okay,
because it's just, the unfortunate thing with the narcotics is, a lot of times once people get hooked on that stuff, it's very hard for them to be able to get off of
right,
it. So
right,
they have to come up with a way to support that system.
Yeah. We're just about out of time. I'll tell you, you've done a great job the last couple of weeks, Jason, kind of sharing a lot of things, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners really kind of learned a lot about how we process a burglary.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you to Jason Meadows, our detective with the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office. Appreciate him being with us the last couple of weeks. And the clock on the wall says we're just about out of time. Do appreciate, again, the students here at Fairfield Christian Academy that produced and put this program together, and certainly you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Until next week, same time, same place. If you're out there driving, buckle up, be careful, God bless, and we'll see you right here next week.
Explore new worlds. Read. Visit literacy.gov and let the journey begin.